everybody. Thank you for joining me again tonight. Tonight we are going to switch gears and we're going to start talking about writing and writing workshop. We talked about guided reading the last few times we did a Facebook Live, so today we're going to switch up and start talking about writing and implementing writing workshop in your classroom. A little background about me. I taught for 12 years, and of that 12 years I did writing workshop for about probably 11 and a half to 10, somewhere in there. I wanted to try it. I'd heard all about it about 10 years ago, I guess it was, and I had no idea where to start. So a friend of mine and I decided just to dive on in, and we tried it out, and we did our own version and our own research, and it wasn't quite right. And that was okay, because if anything else, it made us better teachers because we started taking time and learning. And then we went to a large professional development that was put on by the district I worked in at the time, and they brought in several speakers that really knew their stuff, like Lester Lamnick, I remember, was one. Amy Bruckner was one. She actually has gone on to write several books about Writers Workshop, and she's the one who initially created. I don't know what happened. It just said I reconnected. I don't know. That was weird. Anyway, so I'll keep going. But so she's the one who initially created that staff development for all of us to go to, and we spent a good solid week of both being writers and experiencing it as students ourselves, and then we would go into classrooms where they did writing workshop for the summer for kids to come in, and we would watch teachers model it. So it was a wonderful, wonderful experience for us. So it really helped me develop and find my passion for writing and the teaching of writing. So that's a little bit about my story, and I'm sorry I got interrupted. I would love to hear from you and hear about your name. If you'll put that in the comments, you could say hi and what grade level you teach, and also where you are located, because what I am talking about is going to depend on the age level of the students you work with. So what I wanted to talk about today is, do you use a writing notebook or a writing folder? So there's lots of things to consider when you're doing either a writing notebook or a writing folder. And I'm going to switch the camera over just a little bit. If you're going to be doing either of these in a writing workshop, you really need to think about these things. You need to think about the age of your kids, developmental readiness of the students you're working with. You need to think about their handwriting skills, the ability to turn pages without skipping chunks of pages, the area to draw in it and add to a picture and label it if necessary, and if you want to include any extra resources within the writer's notebook or the writing folder. So I'm going to share with you my opinion and how I chose to do it. I did teach second, third, and fourth, all different years. I had different populations. I had gifted clusters, I had ESL clusters, I had several years of inclusion classrooms, so I pretty much taught the gamut. So I did it a little bit of all. Hey, Amber! So third grade, perfect. So third grade is a grade I worked with for a couple of years. I think I taught it for 3 or 4 years, something like that. I'm going to talk about what I chose to do in second grade, and I would feel this would be appropriate also for first grade. I would not do this for kindergarten, or at least recommend it for kindergarten, simply because I've never taught kindergarten, and I would feel like a big old imposter because I'd have no idea what I'm doing. But when I was in second grade, this is how I chose to do it. I chose not to do a writer's notebook in second grade because I didn't feel at that time the students were ready for it. They simply were just not mature enough. So we used a folder instead, and I just used a simple 2-pocket pronged folder that looks like this. And it had prongs, and it was purposeful. I wanted to make sure it had prongs. And what I did is this is straight from Lucy Calkins. I didn't create this part at all. What I did is I put a green dot on this side of the folder, and I put a red dot on this side of the folder. And the reason that I did that is because as kids were working on pieces of writing, if they wanted to write a story and work on it the next day, they could slip it in the green pocket, and green means they were still going or still working on it. If they decided they were done with the story and they didn't want to mess with it again, they can move it over to the red pocket. So it was a very simple way of managing what stories were still in progress for your little babies. Now, you also have the prongs. I did not laminate these folders, even though it would be great for durability. I chose not to because I wanted to make sure I had access to these prongs. And in these, I would put any resources that I would use for the unit. For example, like I found this is like a personal word wall. might have sequencing words for, or temporal words for when you're teaching transitions and writing in order and that makes sense. Said Amber, I'm reading what Amber says. Amber says, my school uses Lucy and I'm kind of lost with her books. I've heard it's amazing, but I guess I don't implement it correctly. Okay, I love Lucy Calkins. I think she's absolutely brilliant, but she's very, 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 very wordy, and it takes a lot of time to sit down and read her books. So, that all being said, I think she's great, but she's a little overwhelming. That's my personal opinion, but I admire her greatly, and I have read, I think the lower set, maybe K2 books. I don't remember how, it's the older set. She's came out with a new version of her, her units of study, and I haven't seen the new version. I just saw the older version. So she's actually really incredible if you take the time to actually read all her wordiness, because she's quite wordy. She has a lot to say. One of the things I wanted to make sure of, another reason for the writing folder versus the writer's notebook for your lower kids is many of your kids are not ready for that college rule or notebook paper that is found in composition notebooks. I know that you can buy composition notebooks that have the primary lines with picture space, but they're expensive and they're harder to find. So if that's not in your budget or in your family's budgets that buy supplies, this is a cheap, easy solution. So your kids can simply use that primary lined paper that comes up here, and they can move it from side to side. You also can have the primary paper that has the picture at the top, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, hopefully at the end of the video if we don't run out of time, because I want to do a short little lesson for you guys. And also, another strategy is with those younger readers, you can also staple booklets together so they can actually create, like I just took this handwriting paper, folded it in half, and created a book. And this is really engaging for kids because first it makes them feel like authors, which is also very exciting. And the other reason is it's a great way to teach kids to stretch a story across the pages. They realize the first page has to be your beginning, and they could touch each page and tell you what's going to happen on the page to stretch it out over the course of 5 to 8 pages. So then you're stretching stories and adding more details automatically simply by the book size that is being used. And I'll talk about that in just a second too. So, easy to move from still in progress, finished. It's also great when you finish a unit of study and you're like, okay, we've done our personal narratives, ready to move on. You can simply take all the writing out of the finished side, staple it together, and send it home. It's because you're not going to grade everything, hopefully. I hope you're not grading everything they write, because holy moly, they're either not writing enough or you're grading too much, because you shouldn't be grading everything they write. So that's just an easy way to clean it out. I did at the end of every unit of genre or whatever we studied. Let's see. I think that's everything for primaries. So let's move on to upper grade kids. I did this in 3rd grade. I did it in 2nd grade. Also, it didn't work as well, I'll be honest with you. So that's why I chose to go to the folder after that. In 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, you might want to choose to do a writer's notebook. Ralph Fletcher and Amy Bruckner, like I mentioned before, have lots of fantastic ideas about what the writer's notebook should look like and what it should have inside of it. They're a great resource if you're looking for some professional reading. Here's the way that I chose to do writer's notebooks. You could have your kids add a cover like this on it. This cover is the bit.ly link that is at the top of the video right now, and you can click on it and it'll take you to a free version of this right here. Is in color and it's in black and white. It's my little gift to you for today. You could have them color it in and glue it to the front. You can also have them decorate themselves. I had kids glue on Pokemon cards. I had kids put stickers. I had kids color it permanent markers, and they decorated and personalized it any way they wanted. Now, here's where the magic comes in. Now, the other thing that's a bonus, where if you want your kids to have access to those writing resources, well, because it's a composition notebook and it's not a folder with those prongs, they may not have access to those resources on their fingertips, but they can. If you flip the book over, they can go from the back side out, I guess back to the front, and add in resources. You simply just have to have them flip it over. There's a separate cover for that so they can keep track of which side is which. That is also in the freebie link above. They can open it up and they could glue in their resources. Like here's the same word wall that was in the 2nd grade one, just to show you as an example. You can have kids number the pages. Just make sure they always write on the front sides only. If they're only working on the front of the page, that will keep the pages from mixing together when they overlap, I guess you could say. Another thing in that bit.ly link is I created a table of contents. You may want kids to create a table of contents for their writer's notebooks by writing the date and the topic. You could also do page if you wanted to do page, and kids can number the pages down here so that they can find the resource that they're looking for. I also did it on the front here. If you want kids to keep track of their writing, they can write the date and the topic that they're writing here and do page numbers in the bottom corner as well. So that's a strategy that you could use for the flip side. Now, if you are going to, I'm looking at this, Amber had a comment, my teammate taught me to do that, but I love that you have one side resources and the other side writing. I was always worried the resources would get lost. Me too. So I thought this is a great way to keep it all integrated so it didn't get lost. It'd be easy, right? Now, if you choose to do this, you are going to have to explicitly teach kids, even in 3rd grade and 4th grade, how to turn pages. It sounds crazy, but it is very true. Kids will just they don't even attend. I guess this may be an executive functioning skill. I don't even know. But they'll just take chunks. And suddenly they'll be working in the middle of the notebook like, it's like day 4. How in the world are you in the middle of your notebook? And they're like, well, I just turned the page. But unfortunately, they turn like 80 pages. So that's just something that kids do, especially if they're not monitoring what they're doing. So we talk about grabbing the top of the page, rubbing it between your fingers, turning it. These are all explicit things taught in a lesson. Also, whenever we're working in a writer's notebook, we have kids date the page. If they are continuing what they're doing, like let's just say they started a story and they wanted to work on it the next day, then I would have them write the date in the margin over here. I do this for 2 reasons. I want kids to see how much they're working, and I'm not finding it right, that's not the best word for it, but how they're working in the given time period and writing time period. So if they're only getting this much and this much and this much, they can see they're not using their time effectively. And when I look at their writer's notebook, I can know as well that they are certainly not using their time effectively. I love it. 5th graders can't turn pages either. I know, you would think it's like a life skill, so I mean, we gotta teach them those basics, right? But it's a good way to monitor how much is getting written in each writing workshop period. So that is a couple of tips. Make sure I got it all. Now, I'm going to kind of flip gears. So this is for upper grades. I say 3rd, 4th, 5th. I would say this is 1st and 2nd if you're looking for strategies. Now, I want to share with you guys today. I've written 10 no-fail writer's workshop lessons. It's going to be an exclusive freebie. I'm working on it now. I'm in the process of editing it and making sure I put all the standards in that match for you guys, and it will be available hopefully by the end of the week. And it is 10 lessons that are explicitly written from beginning to end of how to introduce and launch the writing workshop. So one of the lessons I want to share with you today is how to introduce using the writer's notebook and using the strategy of a quick draw, because a quick draw is oh, I love it. Amber said so smart. Yes, see, writing the date is smart, so you could even parents can see doing how often and how much the kids are working during the work time during writing. But so I'm going to show you using the strategy of using a quick draw. This can be done in 1st, 2nd, it can be done 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The lesson can be the same. The differentiation is going to be what they're doing it in. Are they doing it in a writer's notebook, or are they doing it in their writing folder on a sheet of primary lined paper? This lesson will be best done if it's and I don't have any because I can only use the dollar store paper I could find. It has the blank drawing space at the top and then the lines on the bottom. This is the best for this lesson. So today we're going to introduce the idea of a quick draw. So I'm going to treat you like your kids. I hope you don't mind. All right, everybody. Today we're going to talk about getting ideas for writing. And what I like to write, I love to draw. Drawing is like one of my most favorite things to do. I'm not great at it, but I really enjoy it. And it's a great way for me to kind of get my thoughts together on what I want to write about. And I'm going to share with you today a little story called Ish by Peter Reynolds about a little boy and his love for drawing. Well, let's see. Raymond loved to draw. Anytime, anything, and anywhere. One day, Raymond was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother Leon leaned over his shoulder. Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Raymond couldn't even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Raymond. He kept on trying to make his drawings look right, but they never did. Oh goodness, look at all that paper just building up. That's a lot of drawings to throw away. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put his pencil down. I'm done. This makes me so sad. He loved to draw. I hate that he won't do it anymore. Marisol, his sister, was watching him. What do you want? He snapped. I'm watching you draw, she said. Ramon sneered. I'm not drawing. Go away. Marisol ran away, but not before picking up a crumpled sheet of paper. Hey! Come back here with that! Ramon raced after Marisol, up the hall, and into her room. He was about to yell, but fell silent when he saw his sister's walls. He stared at the crumpled gallery. Do you see all that? Do you see all the pictures that she has? They're crumpled, so I'm thinking those must have been his old pictures. I wonder if she stole those or I guess not stole them, but maybe picked them up after he threw them away. This one's one of my favorites, Marisol said, pointing. That was supposed to be a vase of flowers, Ramon said, but it doesn't look like one. Well, it looks vase-ish, she explained. Vase-ish? Ramon looked closer. Then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's walls and began to see them in a whole new way. They do look ish, he said. Ramon felt light and energized. Thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, loose lines quickly springing out without worry. Ramon once again drew and drew the world around him. Making an ish drawing felt wonderful. He filled his journals tree-ish, house-ish, boat-ish, afternoon-ish, fish-ish, and sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw ish feelings too. Peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writings. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. Ponder. Pond, ponder, dream yonder, pond, pond, yond, yon, gleam, wander. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was feeling that even ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. Instead, he simply savored it. He looks like he's just enjoying that, doesn't he? And Ramon lived ishfully ever after. The endish. So this is a great story about a little boy, Ramon. He drew, but were they perfect? Were they the best drawings ever? No, but they really captured what he wanted to feel and what he wanted his picture to be. So today, we're going to focus on our own ish drawings, and we're going to do ish drawings in a very special place. We're going to do ish drawings in our writer's notebooks. Now this is for your big kids. If you're doing this with your little kids, they can do their ish drawings on a sheet of that paper I was telling you about, where it's got the lines on the bottom and it's got the white space at the top for pictures. But I'm going to model it in a writer's notebook just because it's simpler. We're going to talk about, back to being kids again, sorry. We're going to talk about ish-like drawings in a writer's notebook. We can use our ish drawings to do writing-ish kind of things, just like Ramon did. And let me show you where we're going to do that. We're going to use this top space in our writer's notebook to draw some ish-like drawings. But here's the deal. Just like Ramon, your ish drawings don't have to be perfect, and they need to take up this amount of space, and you can't take forever to draw them, because this is called writing workshop, and it's not drawing workshop. And if you use all your time to draw, then you're not doing any drawing, and we need to make sure we're using our time to write. So today, what I'm going to show you to do is you're going to draw a quick little drawing. Actually, I would probably change that. You could probably model it if you wanted to. I'm going to switch back. You could probably model that for your kids if you wanted to model doing a quick drawing, and I can do that for you guys. I'm just trying to monitor the time so my video doesn't take 100 years. So I can do that real quick for you guys. Okay. So if here is my writer's notebook, and here's that white space at the top, I have a quick little picture. Let's see, what can I draw? Oh, I'm going to draw a funny story. Alright, So, I've got me. See, that's just a quick little ish drawing. It's not perfect, but I got the idea down. It's me. It's a quick stick little figure. It's not perfect. I'm not drawing this long drawn out painting. And I've got, do you know what that is? That's my kitty cat. You could probably tell it's a cat even though it's only cat-ish. And here is the school. Today, I'm going to write a story about how I found my cat when he was sneaking into the school I was teaching at. And that is a true story. Now, for your younger kids, you could go ahead and have them label the pieces. You could have them go back and write cat, me, flag, building, however you want to do that. For your older kids, they're not going to need that scaffolding and that extra step to do the labeling. So you'll say, so I've done my drawing, and that didn't take long at all. I looked at the clock, that was like 2 minutes of drawing. Now I can write my story. So let's say, it was a cold fall, I can't remember if I'm supposed to capitalize that, so I'm going to circle it, day. I was bringing in my class from recess. As we walked into the building, and see, here's my building, I saw a kitten. And I could keep on going from there, but I'm not going to use all of your writing time to show you how to write. Instead, I'm going to let you go back to your seat. What you're going to do today is you are going to open up to the next page. Remember, pull open your writer's notebook, rub your pages together so you don't get lots of pages all together, so you go right to the next one. I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do an ish drawing. So you're going to draw something right here, and then you're going to write about it at the bottom. You only get 3 minutes, and it has to just look picturesque. It doesn't have to be perfect. But before we get started, I want you to think for a second what you're going to write about. Maybe it's something that happened to you. Maybe it's a special place that you've been. Maybe it is your birthday. Or maybe when you went shopping with your mom and dad. Or maybe it was the time you fell and hurt yourself. I want you to think for a second, and then you're going to give kids time to process and to think. I want you to touch somebody on the shoulder. That's going to be your elbow partner. Turn to your elbow partner, and I want you to tell them what you're going to write about. Then you give them a minute to talk. Then you're going to say, all right, now switch. I want both of you to have time to share, so make sure your other partner gets time to share their story. That way you're ensuring that everybody has time to talk. Okay? So it's not just one partner dominating the partner talk. So then you could say, all right, who would like to raise their hand and tell me what their partner is going to write about? By asking them what their partner is going to write about, you are forcing them to be more careful in listening. I did this a lot in my classroom, but they knew they had to actually listen and not just like space out when their partner was like talking. They actually had to respond and carry on and continue a conversation, because that is a life skill that many people, or I guess people, but especially kids, don't have. So they had to be listen and be thoughtful listeners as well. So they would share, and they would share what their partner was going to write about. And you could say, oh, Susie, that sounds like a great idea. Now, Bobby, since that was your story, you're going to add anything to that? And you can get a chance to pull out some details. That should only take about 3 minutes. You should not be taking forever. You shouldn't be calling on several kids. 2 to 3 kids, be done, and move on. Then you're going to say, all right, everybody, we're going to go to our desk. When I get to 10, I want everybody to have their writer's notebook open and your pencils ready. Are you ready? On your mark, get set, go. Then I count down till 10. Oh, I love it. Angie loves the Ish book. It's wonderful. Yes, it was the Ish book, Angie. It was great. I think Angie, we've done this lesson, because Angie and I used to work together. I'm sure you saw me do it, or we talked about it. Then you're going to set a timer, and you're going to do 3 minutes, and then when it beeps, you say, okay, look at your picture. Remember, it just has to be just Ish-like. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now you may begin to start writing. If your kids need extra support in writing and they're not ready to move on, they could turn to their table group. Say, okay, before we start writing, turn to someone at your table and tell them what your story is you're going to write about. You're giving an extra step, extra support for that oral language so they could get it back onto the paper. So if that's something your kids need, you could do that. Some of your older kids are not going to necessarily need that extra step. So that is a very quick intro to the Writer's Notebook and how to use Ish-like quick draws to develop ideas. And it uses the book Ish by Peter Reynolds, and I have done that successfully in second, third, and fourth grade. So tomorrow, I'm going to pull, that lesson is actually written explicitly out in my freebies that I'm hoping to get done. It has all the standards to go with it. It has all the materials you need. It has conferencing points when you set kids off on their own that I will share with you guys. And then tomorrow, make sure you come back at 7:30 as well, because tomorrow I'm going to show you an engaging way to introduce the writing process with Play-Doh. So it's fun, and it gives kids something to actually manipulate with their hands, and it also will give them something to write about later. So it's a twofer. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them. I'll try to answer them after the video. Make sure you go up there and you grab your freebie of your covers for your writer's notebooks for the big kids and your table of contents. So until tomorrow at 7:30, I'll see you guys then. Thanks.